Hello, my name is Hakon, and welcome back, all you fabulous fighting fantasy aficionados, for yet another episode of Trial of Champions, the really difficult book, number 21 in the series. And of course, in this one, I have decided to, unusually, to keep a proper death toll. I'm probably not going to keep doing this for future books, but in this one, I just thought it was appropriate because dying in this book is very easy, and also the beginning of the book gave me a good idea of how to do it, and say that I'll try to do it within 42 lives. And at the moment, our death toll is standing at 10. Yes, 10 deaths. And I got only 32 lives to go. Can I make it in 42 lives? I don't know yet. So, in order for the death count to be properly authentic, what I have been doing is that even though I don't start from the very beginning every time I play this book now, I have made a sort of flowchart for the beginning of the game. That is the gladiatorial battle, and then one for the next bit of the. Oh, it's so bright you can't really see that, can you? Um, hang on. I need to see if I can reduce the exposure a little bit, and I'll probably have to put it back up again soon because when the sun goes away. So this is for the second part of the game. And what I do now, when I die, I take my new character and I run it through the beginning of the game, doing all the battles, all the luck rolls, all the skill rolls, just to see if the character survives and what kind of stats he would be left with for the point of the game where I will start over. So, just to recap, in the very beginning, before the book starts, you are taken captive by a slaver on a galley, and you are one of 42 slaves that are sold to Lord Carnus in order for you to fight it out in gladiatorial battles to become so the one survivor from those gladiatorial battles, the victor, will be Lord Carnus's champion, who will take part in the Trial of Champions in Fang, where his brother, actually, Baron Sukhumvit, has rebuilt his death trap dungeon after somebody beat it last year. Which of course is what happened in the book Death Trap Dungeon, of course, and so this is the sequel to Death Trap Dungeon. And then in the beginning of the book, I'll just run through quickly what happens. So the path that I have found so far that seems to be the correct one. You go into the dungeon, you fight a hellhound, and you find a golden ring. And my theory so far is that you're trying to collect golden rings because I've seen a few of them now. And then you walk past, you get a choice of two directions. You walk either towards a bridge, which I think is the wrong direction. I'm not 100% sure yet. Or the other way, past some, you can see some spears in the ceiling, which is a fake trap. It's just a deterrent to make you think that it's not safe to go past there, which makes me believe that that is the correct or the best way to go. And you go there and you can actually pick a spear as well from the ceiling and take it with you, which might come in handy later. After that, you turn a corner and there is a crossbow trap. And the thing about the crossbow trap is that you roll a die, and of course, what happens is if you roll the right number, you can also get +1 luck. You can potentially get injured, and you can potentially die as well. It is a death trap after all. So that is actually the first proper death trap. So there are death traps in Death Trap Dungeon. Who knew? After that, you get to a point where there's a door and you can open it, and inside there's a bowl of delicious looking fruit. If you eat it, you regain some stamina. That's very good. After that, there is a little character that's running down the corridor and trying to make you chase it. If you choose not to chase him, you can go through a door instead. And if you go through that door, there are two orcs there. who are doing target practice on some little creature. And if you fight them, you get 2 daggers, and you also find a breastplate, which gives you +1 skill. And of course, I'm using my house rule as saying that, of course, the whole point of skill is to tell you how good you are at inflicting damage or preventing you from sustaining damage in combat. And so that +1 skill will go over and beyond your normal skill for the purposes of combat. So you get +1 skill for combat purposes. And then you continue down the corridor and you, let's see what happens next. You find a magical broadsword, which I don't still know when that will be useful. It doesn't give you any combat bonuses. It doesn't mention anything, but it is magical, which means there may be creatures in this game that can only be injured by magical weapons, and I still haven't found those. Now, after that, you are going into a room where there are 2 skeletons, and one of them just suddenly starts talking and asks you a riddle. If you answer it correctly, they point out where you can find a small iron key, which I still also don't know when I can use that. And that is pretty much it. That's where we are when I start the game. And of course, last time I died a little bit further on. I was killed by the Lich Queen, although it was actually killed by my own stupidity, probably. And I have run new characters through the beginning, but I'll get back to that once I change my view now to show you my desk. So I'll be on my desk now in a few moments as we get started playing Trial of Champions for the 4th time. Okay, here we are on my desk. I've got my supplies, as I like calling it. I've got my book, my pens, pencil, dice. I've got my character sheet over here. And got my flowcharts for the beginning of the game, and I've got my map, and this is of course the beginning of the game. I've done that now, and then there's the second part of the game, which I've also done, and let's see, so I am at, yes, so I am here on my 3rd map. Also got a bit further on here as well. And this is where I've chosen to start now, because from this point I don't yet know what the ideal path is. And also in the beginning I'm not 100% sure, but I'm quite certain it certainly seems to be a good path that I've chosen. And death toll, of course, character sheet. First things first is to put in deaths, and we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 deaths is our current status. Let's see, let's find my list of candidates, as I call them now. Let's double check here now. So that is... Okay. So candidate number 11 is our next contestant is candidate number 11. He has a skill of 12. Stamina only of 18, which we have seen before is quite risky, and a luck of 9. And he successfully managed to get through the gladiatorial battles. He won the arena fights, only losing 1 luck point, by the way, which is the minimum you can actually lose there in the arena. And after running through the beginning of the Death Trap dungeon, he survived. He survived, yes, amazing, isn't it? So we got him. He is skill 12, stamina 18, and luck 9. But of course he has lost a little bit now, so he his luck is down to 7. He's done really well, actually. I think that is the maximum loss. I mean, at this point of the game, having followed the path that I've taken, being 2 down on luck is actually the best you can do. He's still got 18 stamina, which is also quite good. And he's got a 13 skill because of the breastplate. So for combat purposes, he's got 13. For other purposes, it is still 12. So that is my character. And he has picked up equipment, of course, on the way in the dungeon, particularly. He's got now gold ring ×2. He's got a spear. He's got dagger ×2, throwing daggers. He's got a magical broadsword. He's got a small iron key and a breastplate +1. And that is where we start the game. Let's see how that goes. So we are starting on paragraph 45. 45, yes, you can see it there. Right. It is not long before you arrive at yet another door in the left-hand tunnel wall. If you wish to open the door, turn to 235. If you'd rather keep on walking, turn to 177. Now this is the door that if you walk into it and into the room, there's nothing there, but the door closes behind you, and then you open it again, and it turns out that you have been teleported somewhere else. In the book tells you so, that you don't know it, but you've been teleported. It does say that. But I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. My theory is that perhaps that means that wherever that leads you to, you might be able to get there, most likely, actually, if you follow the other path, because if it's teleporting you further into the dungeon, maybe there's a way to walk there as well. That's what I think. So I'm going to follow the corridor and not go in through that door. I'll see. It'll be interesting to see if I manage to, my path actually merges with the other one at some point. So let's find out. The tunnel eventually ends at a T-junction. Looking both left and right, you see nothing of interest apart from a door some way down to your left. If you wish to go left, turn to 68. If you wish to go right, turn to 227. And I am still a bit curious about this Lich Queen. You see, last time I met the Lich Queen, and she says that you have to wear the Gauntlet of Pain. And I chose not to. I chose to fight her instead. But of course, you don't get to fight her because she pushes a button, like proper arch villains do, and a pit opens before you. And I fell down, and I probably did a bad roll as well because I landed on a spike and died. Excuse me. So, but I wish to go left because I want to try that. I want to try the gauntlet. I want to try the gauntlet because my main theory now is that that is going to be a test of skill. To see if you can withstand the pain or stamina, but probably skill. So, I want to go left and turn to 68. You soon arrive at the doorway in the right-hand wall and are faced with a heavy iron door. You press your ear against the door and can just make out the sound of a woman's voice chanting. If you wish to open the door, turn to 318. Otherwise, you may either carry on down the tunnel or go back along the other branch of the T-junction. So I'm going to open the door again. Now, if this goes wrong, I'm very close to the beginning, and of course I can just bring in another character, can't I? So here we are. There's the Lich Queen there. Quite a nasty looking one. The iron door, I mean, this is the kind of thing, and if this had been Call of Cthulhu, you'd have to roll for sanity now, wouldn't you? The iron door swings open and you enter an ornate room with a marble floor and rich furnishings. But your eyes immediately light on a decorative marble throne on which sits a woman dressed in a lavish gown. Is it the throne your eyes are drawn to, or shouldn't it really be your eyes are drawn to a woman dressed in a lavish gown? No, actually, what your eyes would be drawn to first was her face, and then you would be drawn to the other stuff afterwards. Anyway, decorative marble throne on which sits a woman dressed in a lavish gown. But to your horror, you see that her face is almost a skeletal skull. And I did look it up after playing last time, of course. Skeletal and skeletal are both equally correct pronunciations. There you go. With only remnants of dried skin hanging loosely from it. Her blood-red eyes fix on you, and then the Lich Queen starts to speak. Who is this foolish mortal who dares to enter my chamber? Have you the courage to wear my gauntlet of pain? Or would you prefer that I kill you where you stand? If you agree to wear the gauntlet, turn to 212. If you would rather attack the Lich Queen with your sword, turn to 363. Okay. So I'm going to wear the gauntlet this time and see what happens. The hideous-looking woman reaches under the cushions she is sitting on and then tosses an iron gauntlet to the floor. So she's literally throwing down the gauntlet. You bend down, pick it up, and slip it onto your right hand. Pain immediately grips your hand and quickly spreads throughout your body. You feel as though you are being crushed by a giant vice, and you begin to scream in terror. Roll 3 dice. Ooh. 3 dice. If the total is the same as or less than your skill, turn to 15. So you actually have to roll 3 dice for a skill test. Okay, maybe going through this door wasn't such a good idea after all. What do you think? Also, the sun just went. I'll just make my camera a little bit brighter, like so. Okay. Okay, so this is a 3d6 skill test, and there the sun is back again, and let's move the exposure down. Now you may sort of ask yourselves now, why don't I use auto exposure? And the answer is quite simple, because in auto exposure it is trying to adjust the exposure all the time, and it gets really distracting, I think. So yeah, that's why I switched that off. Okay. So a 3d6 skill check, and the results are either, let's see, I'll just put up the 2 options there. So 15 or 80. So 80 is fail, and 15 is success. Okay, so I need another die there. Okay, so I've got 3 dice. This needs to be less than 12 now, because 13, as you know, because of the breastplate, is not going to help me with this kind of thing. That's just helping me in combat. So 9, 10. Yes, I made it. Okay. With great courage and determination, your mind overcomes the illusion of pain. The illusion of pain, yes, indeed. You drop exhausted to the floor when the pain eventually subsides from your body. But you are now mentally fatigued and drained of energy. You lose 3 stamina points. Okay, so minus 3 stamina. I wouldn't really like knowing what happens if you fail that. You sit up and throw off the accursed gauntlet. The Lich Queen remains silent as she pulls a gold ring from her finger and throws it in front of you. You do not wait to question her motives. Grabbing the ring, you run out of the room into the tunnel. If you wish to go right, turn to 285. If you wish to go left, past the T-junction, turn to 227. So I get a gold ring. So +1 gold ring. And I've got 3 gold rings. And a very dark picture. There we are. 3. So it again, and of course this is even more sort of proof, I think, to me, that it seems we are definitely collecting these gold rings. So gold ring, gold ring, gold ring. Still not sure if that is the best way to go. My theory is that where you have branching paths, you will have gold rings on either of them, probably. Um, Not necessarily in all of them, but you're supposed to get a certain number, I guess. We'll find out later. Right, so, and the options here were 285. Let's see, 285 or 227. So, let's see, where are we? 227 is there. Or 285. 285. Okay, so. Right, where do I go from here? I think I want to go left past the T-junction, actually. So I'm going to... Oh, why can't the sunlight just make up its mind, can it? Okay. I am actually able to cover the window properly. I've got a light-proof cover. I don't usually use it for these kinds of videos because it's not crucial, but I like getting some natural light in as well. Right, 227, I'm going past the junction. You soon arrive at a cave entrance in the left-hand wall of the tunnel. You peer inside, but it is too dark to see very far into the cave. Suddenly you hear a high-pitched cry for help from deep within. If you wish to enter in order to investigate, turn to 37. If you would rather keep walking along the tunnel, turn to 397. So we got a cave there. Okay, so we got two options. Either keep walking, 37. No, keep walking, 397. Or investigate, 37. Investigate. And walk on. I'm going to investigate, obviously. And 37. You walk quickly into the cave, and when your eyes become accustomed to the dark, you see the person who is crying for help. It is the small humanoid whom you saw not long ago, and now he is caught in the enormous web of a giant spider. Unable to free himself from the tangle of sticky strands, the tiny man begs you to cut him free. I don't really trust this guy, though. Suddenly, the spider itself drops down from the ceiling onto its web and scurries across it towards its trapped prey. If you wish to attack the giant spider, turn to 118. If you would rather abandon the man and continue along the tunnel, turn to 397. Okay. I'll attack the spider then. Attack. You draw your sword and close in on the huge black arachnid. Giant spider. If you do not defeat the giant spider within 5 attack rounds, you too will become entangled in its web. So you actually have to get this right. You only got one chance of not doing it. If this happens, make a note of the giant spider's skill and current stamina, and then turn to 64. Okay. Okay, so we got two things happening here. Either 64 or 348, so that's win and more than 5 rounds. Okay, so let's do the combat. So I have got 13. Hang on, I lost 3 stamina. Mustn't forget. So my stamina is down to 15. So I am at, for combat purposes, I am 13. 15, and the spider is 7, 8. So I've got a 6 skill point advantage, and he rolls 5, I roll 11. It's down to 6. He rolls 7, I roll 9, 6, 7, and finally 6, 7. Yeah, so he is dead. 348. You cut the tiny man free from the web and stand back warily in case he tries to trick you. But he simply bows and says, "Thank you, stranger. I, Billy Bob of the Little People, am forever grateful to you. Our tribe has been living under this mountain for generations, but we are forced to scavenge what we can now that our tunnels have been taken over by these dreadful monsters. The sooner they are killed by the likes of you, the better. As a reward for saving my life, I'll give you what I found in the scorpion's nest." Billy Bob drops a gold ring into the palm of your hand. Okay, another gold ring. There's quite an inflation of gold rings. So 7. Hang on, let's not to make a note. 7, 8 asterisk and win +1 gold ring. Before I go, I shall give you some advice. Don't drink at the fountains. Now I must be going. I am late enough as it is. Goodbye. The tiny man then runs out of the cave and turns left into the tunnel. Turn to 397. So, add another gold ring. Maybe we should have a counter for gold rings as well now. 4 gold rings. It seems I'm collecting them, so maybe I should put up a counter for that too, in addition to deaths. I don't know. Anyway. 397, and it sounds like I need to blow my nose because I'm getting sniffly again. So even though it is cold, it is May, and I don't know, some kind of pollen, maybe. So I'll be back very shortly. Yeah. Right, I'm back. Let's see, where were we? We're going to 397, weren't we? So yeah, 397. The tunnel soon ends at a stone staircase. Candles held in open skulls are mounted on the banister to light the way up. The stairs lead both up and down. Well, all stairs lead both up and down, depending on which direction you arrive in, don't they? If you wish to climb up the stairs, turn to 305. If you would rather go down, turn to 93. Interesting. Let's move our options over here. So it is downstairs 93, down, or 305. Where do I want to go first, down or up? I'd go down. I'm going down. 93. The stairs end at a door from which you can hear the sound of squeaking animals and pattering feet. If you wish to open the door, turn to 146. If you would rather climb back up the stairs, turn to 305. I'm going to open that door. I mean, squeaking and pattering feet doesn't sound very dangerous, does it? You turn the handle of the door, and as soon as it opens, you are pounced upon by a large rat. Others wait to take over if the first is defeated. First rat, 3222, 323242. Okay, fight the rats one at a time. As soon as they lose an attack round, turn to 165. Okay, that's an unusual way to conduct battle. So this is the traditional rats in the basement quest that you always get in the beginning of role-playing games, isn't it? Okay, so rats. So it's 1, 6, 5, or 18. Okay, so let's put up the options before I even start. So we have 18, win, or 165, lose attack round. Okay, so Now, the thing is, of course, that these have very, very poor stats. So it would be actually hard for me to lose here, but it is possible. So, first rat, I've got a skill advantage of 10. He rolls. I'm just going to do the rolls for the rats now. I don't need to roll for myself unless I have a chance of losing. So I defeat the first rat. The second one, I got 11 advantage. He rolls 10, so I can't lose that one. Third rat, no. Fourth rat, definitely not. Fifth rat, no. So, yeah. So I won all of those rounds and killed all the rats and can go to 18. You soon see why the rats were inside the room in which you find yourself. It is a storeroom, piled high with barrels, sacks, and crates. Jars and bottles are jammed along the shelves which line the walls from floor to ceiling. However, much of the food that you find is either old and stale or rotten, and the rats have eaten most of what is left. After emptying out nearly all the containers, the only items you find that appear vaguely edible are a loaf and some salted beef. You got the options: eat the loaf, eat the salted beef, or eat nothing and walk back up the stairs. So we got options. Let's put them up there. So we got loaf, 57, a loaf. It seems a bit strange that a loaf should survive that long. Salted beef sounds quite safe. What's my stamina? My stamina is 15. I'm down 3 points. I'm just sort of thinking, is it worth eating at all? Because most likely it will give you stamina back if you eat the right thing. I'm going to try eating the salted beef. I hope it doesn't make me so thirsty I'll lose stamina from it. So 184. The dry salted beef is tough, yet tasty. You chew on it and swallow it in big lumps. So great is your hunger. Add 4 stamina points. Ooh, plus 4 stamina. Okay, so my stamina is back to 18. Imagine that. Eventually you feel as though you have eaten enough. If you have not done so already, you may eat the loaf. Otherwise, there is nothing else you can do except climb back up the stairs. So I'm not going to eat the loaf. I'm going to climb back up the stairs and go to 305. You climb the stairs as quietly as possible. Why do you suddenly go about being quiet? And come to a landing. A new tunnel leads from the landing, which soon ends at an old oak door. There are many runes and symbols painted on the door, but they mean nothing to you. To one side of the door there is a wooden box, which is also made of old oak. If you wish to open the door, turn to 43. If you would rather lift the lid of the box first, turn to 373. Okay, so you've got 2 options. So 43 door or 373 box. I'm going to open the box. The box contains a coil of strong rope. Hoping that it might prove useful later on, you sling it around your shoulders. There's also a hammer, which you stick in your belt, and a small phial of colorless liquid labeled anti-poison. Very nice indeed. I know the hammer can come in useful because if you remember, there was the undead knight that I was fighting a few lives ago. You did actually get it said that if you do have a hammer, you can do the 2 damage per successful attack. If you only have sharp weapons, they only do 1 point of damage. So that does make a big difference. So rope, hammer, and anti-poison. Okay, so that is quite Good, I'll put that on my list now. So we got rope, hammer. It's quite a long list of items we got now. And G, and D. Poison. File. Okay. And then I open the door, so 43. And also, because you find the hammer here, that also indicates to me that you are not meant to go through that teleport, because you will end up in the same place eventually anyway. So, yeah. But then, of course, you will be better prepared for what you will face after getting to that part of the game as well. Okay. You enter a small room which is empty apart from a suit of armor with a winged helmet on top of it. The armor is propped up between two high-backed chairs, and the shield is resting against one of them. There is another door in the far wall which is also painted with runes and symbols. Will you take the winged helmet, take the shield, try to decipher the runes, open the door and leave the room? Okay, so that is quite an interesting set of options there. I'll just put them up here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at the top there, 2, 2, 1, leave. 1, 2, 6, helmet. 187, shield. 157, runes. So, helmet, shield. Helmet or shield? I don't know. Helmets are generally in fighting fantasy. Helmets are sort of 50-50 good or bad. Shields, I've never heard of a cursed shield before in a fighting fantasy book. I'll take the shield. Start with the shield. You pick up the shield carefully, making sure you do not move the chair just in case there is a trap. You place the shield on your arm and are well satisfied with your new piece of armor. Add 1 skill point. So now that's my another fighting skill bonus. So that's +1 skill. Now you can take the helmet. Or you can try to decipher the runes or leave. So let's see, just put up the arrows on my map there, and I'll just put my... So now I've got an effective fighting skill of 14. Shield +1. I don't think I should push my luck and try the helmet now. No, I'll leave that. So I'll have a look at the runes, I suppose. 157. Excuse me. There seems to be a pattern to one of the runes, so you set about trying to translate the message. Roll 1 die. Okay, so 1d6. If so, 312 or 344. So 312, 312, 344. So that's 1 to 4 or 5 to 6. Okay, so we roll a 5. Usually that is the good outcome, the higher numbers. 344. You have all your wits about you and are rewarded by suddenly understanding one of the runes. It reads, "Trust not the word of axe." One rune says all of that. You must be quite a genius. You memorize the rune and open the door. Okay, so now I've got do not drink from the fountains and do not trust not the word of axe. So I'll just put those down here. Do not drink from fountains which is what Billy Bob told me, and trust not the word of axe, whatever that means. Is axe a person, or is it a talking axe? We don't know yet. Right, so. Oh yeah, that's Billy Bob right there as well. The same spread there. 221. Okay, so I am leaving 221. You enter another room and are surprised by what you see. Turn to 3. That is a completely needless paragraph. Completely. Two, 1. So that's what I call the dummy paragraph. Oh, hang on. No. 3. Oh. I've seen this guy before. Hang on. 221, 221. That is on. Oh, there we are. 221. No, 3. Paragraph 3. Where's paragraph 3? There it is. Okay, so. That means that, and this is just after, so when you get teleported, this is actually the first thing you get to. So that means if you go into that room at the beginning here, and you get teleported, you skip all this bit here, which means you lose out on getting 2 gold rings, regaining 4 stamina, getting a hammer, a rope, anti-poison file, and at least a shield +1, possibly a helmet with bonuses as well. So in conclusion, of course, therefore, you should not, absolutely not go through that door after 45. So this is the correct path. I've definitely concluded that now quite decisively. So we have, I'll just make my way down here to number 3. So, sitting cross-legged in the middle of the room is a fat, bald man, Eastern in appearance. He sits motionless and holds a bamboo pole between his outstretched hands. Half a dozen colored wooden blocks are hovering in a circle in mid-air above him. The man's eyes are grey and blank, and he is obviously blind. The room is sparsely furnished with a slatted wooden bed, a cupboard, and a large wooden chest, which has pride of place in the center of the floor. Welcome, contestant number 2. I have been waiting for you. I am Noi, a trial master, and a servant of Baron Sukhumvit. My duty is to test you in 3 ways before allowing you to proceed. Are you ready? If you wish to obey the trial master, turn to 369. If you would rather attack him with your sword, turn to 200. Usually attacking trial masters means instant death. So I'm going to obey him. Let's see. The 3 things I am instructed to test you in are strength, intelligence, and fighting ability. Should you fail any of these tests, you will not be allowed to continue the Trial of Champions. We insist on a worthy winner. The first test will be a tug-of-war against a caveman. A door behind the trial master opens, and a huge man with long hair, dressed in ragged fur, strides into the room. The trial master taps the floor in front of him with his pole, and the floor drops away to reveal a dark pit. He then orders the caveman to fetch a thick rope from the cupboard. He gives you the end of the rope and tells you to take the strain with the rope pulled taut over the pit. He counts to 3 and then shouts, "Heave!" The caveman's strength is incredible, and you grit your teeth and pull as hard as you can. The Caveman has skill 7. Resolve the tug-of-war as you would in normal combat, but do not reduce stamina, as no wounds are inflicted. Make a note of who wins each attack round. If you are first to win 4 attack rounds, turn to 352. If the caveman is first to win 4 attack rounds, turn to 99. So obviously in this case, my armor, my shield and my breastplate is not going to help me, so I'm using my base skill. So this is part of the house rule for how I deal with skill and items. So I've got a skill of 12, so I've got a 5 skill point advantage. So he rolls 8, I roll 7, I win the first round. He rolls 12, I roll 5, he wins the second round, so that's 1 each. He rolls 8, I roll 6, I go so 2-1 me. He rolls 2, I roll 10, 3-1 me, 5 and 11. So I've got 4 rounds, and we go to 352. Your strength is greater than that of the caveman. With a mighty heave, you pull him forward and watch him fall headlong down the pit. Unconcerned by the loss of his servant, the trial master speaks again. I will now ask you a question. Think carefully before answering. He points at the wooden chest in the middle of the room and says, inside this chest there are 6 more chests, and each of those contains 3 smaller chests. How many chests are there altogether? If you know the answer, turn to the reference with the same number. And this is where, of course, my thinking was not working quite right the previous time I was there, because obviously there is 1 big chest, there are 6 smaller chests, that's 7, and then there is 3 times 6 even smaller chests, that's 18 plus 7, so that is altogether 25. So that is going to paragraph 25. The trial master remains silent for a moment and then says slowly, you have passed the second test. Now comes the final part, combat with me. We will fight with bamboo poles, not to the death, but as a simulation of a sword fight. Any strike to the head or chest will be considered a death blow. For your information, my blindness is no handicap, as my ears will tell me where you are. Now fetch your pole from the cupboard, for I am ready. As you take the pole, the trial master stands up and the wooden blocks fall to the ground. Treading silently on bare feet, he moves towards you, his head turned to one side to aid his hearing. If you wish to lunge at him with your pole and catch him off balance with a quick strike, turn to 134. If you would rather ready yourself to counter a blow, turn to 204. And I'm just going to follow the same path I did last time because that actually works, it looks like. So I'm going to be ready to counter a blow. Go to 204. The agile old man strides nimbly towards you with a bamboo pole held to one side. You cannot tell whether he's going to bring the pole down over his head and strike at your head or sideswipe you in the ribs. If you wish to anticipate a strike to the head, turn to 111. If you wish to defend your ribs, turn to 32. And last time I defended my ribs. So I'm going to go with that and go to 32. You anticipate the trial master's move. He brings the pole around in a sweeping arc towards your side, but you block it with ease. His pole strikes your own with a loud crack. If you wish to take the initiative and strike back, turn to 239. If you wish to defend again, turn to 267. And last time I did an attack. See if that works again, or there is some element of chance involved now. You thrust your right arm forward in an attempt to strike the trial master's neck. He tries to counter your blow by bringing his pole up quickly across his body. His skill score is 8. Roll 2 dice. The total is the same as or less than his skill score. Turn to 248. So it's a test of skill. And in this case, I think I'll go with my base skill, of course, because I'm not defending myself. This is not normal combat. It's a skill check. So in a way. Let's see, so yeah, 6. Well, actually, I'm not comparing to my skill, it's just rolling against his skill. So that was less than his skill, and so we'll go to 248. The trial master reacts quickly and blocks your thrusting pole. Sweat breaks out on his forehead as the trial master realizes that you are a better fighter than he originally thought. Making the most of your psychological advantage, you step forward to strike again. If you wish to execute a body blow, turn to 320. If you wish to make an overhead strike, turn to 385. And I do 385 because that's what I did last time. That seemed to work. The trial master does not expect another blow to his head and wrongly keeps his pole low. Your pole thumps against his head and you let out a victory cry. You have triumphed against the odds in ritual combat. So basically, if you follow the path that I've done now, you can't lose, because the only roll there, if I'd rolled higher, I suppose, then I would have managed to win right there and then as well. So, yeah. Turn to 362. So I know the path through that combat now. I actually quite like the idea. I mean, every now and again in these books you get a battle that isn't just, here's your stats, now roll the dice, but actually there's choices to be made in the battle, and a combination of choices and dice rolling, which I think is quite nice. I think because I've been thinking about, I'm still thinking about the things I would want to include when and if I make my own game book one day. And I'm thinking that to make a battle more exciting, a combination of choices and dice rolls is a lot more exciting and flavorful, I think, than just here's your stats, now roll for combat. So I'm thinking something along the lines of combining those two, like in this battle, is the best way to go, even though it means you have to add quite a few paragraphs for it. So the book would have to be longer. I mean, with the same kind of story length as you have here. And say you have maybe, say you have 10 combats and each of them can be resolved in 10 paragraphs, maybe, for instance. That's another 100 paragraphs right there. So the book would have to be 500 paragraphs long rather than 400, for instance. So it's not a big increase, really. And of course, the paragraphs could be relatively short as well for combat, because it's the effect of what you just did combined maybe with some random element, and then it's what's your next choice. It doesn't have to add too much, just a little bit, just for flavor, and then you move on to the next bit. Okay. But I think I would want an element of chance too, because otherwise you would be able to always win the battle once you knew how it was fought, and the element of chance and excitement would be a little bit gone from it. So one has to find the right balance. I will try different things when I get to it, but it's one of the things I've been thinking about. Right. Okay. So 362. Yes. The trial master stands back, panting heavily. Once he has caught his breath, he says, breath again, he says, you have passed the third test. You may now continue your walk through the dungeon. So again, I'm on a walk rather than walking through, I suppose. Leave this room through the door behind me. The old man offers you no words of advice or encouragement, so you leave his room. You open the door and pass through the squalid sleeping area of the caveman into another long, gloomy tunnel. You soon come to a stone fountain in the shape of a leaping fish. You should drink at the fountain, turn to 95, and this is where one should not be drinking at the fountain, I think. And I see that the first time I went past here, I did not drink from the fountain wisely. And now I've got a clue that tells me not to drink from the fountain. So I'm going to put a little minus there on my map. Because I'm not 100% sure whether it's a bluff or true, but I do actually trust that advice. And I think that drinking from the fountain will be bad for me. So I'm going to continue walking, 329. I think the first time I was there, wasn't it, I didn't actually need any stamina or anything, and so I didn't want to risk it. But of course now I also don't need stamina or anything, so only luck, I guess. But yeah, 329. Soon you hear the sound of hoofs clattering along the stone floor. The sound echoes down the tunnel. Then you see a shape emerging from the gloom. Seated astride a white skeleton horse is an armored skeleton with a crown on its skull. Seeing you, the Skeleton King kicks its undead horse into a gallop and holds its sword aloft. You must fight the mounted undead Skeleton King. Edged weapons like swords and daggers do little harm to skeletons. Unless you have a hammer with which to fight the Skeleton King, you will only cause it to lose 1 stamina point during a successful attack round. And this is where the finding the hammer comes into the picture. If you win, turn to 209. So we have, at the moment, we are at 14, 18 for the purposes of battle, skill, stamina. And now I'm fighting a 9-7, and I do have hammer, so I can do my normal 2 points of damage each successful attack round. I've got a 5 skill point advantage. He rolls 12. I roll 10, so he's down to 5. He rolls 4. I roll 5. He rolls 3. I roll 4. And finally, perhaps he rolls 5 and I roll 5. So he is a goner. Yes, deader than before. As dead can be. Right. If you win, turn to 209. So I'm going to 209. You open the horse's saddlebag and find a mirror and a wooden whistle. So, more stuff. Whistle and mirror. Yeah, it says right there. So mirror, and wooden whistle if I wanted to. Now this is actually one of the longest lists of items of any book, apart perhaps from what's the name again? The latest one, the one by Rihanna Pratchett. Yeah, the list of items were just ridiculous in that one. Okay. So that is the end of that page of the map, which means I'm now back on my final page here at 209. There we are. So you slip them inside here. Yeah, so if you wish to go, it soon ends at a T-junction. So if you wish to go left, turn to 129. If you wish to go right, turn to 351. So what do we have here? Now there was okay, so that's the one with the okay, so it looks like turning right there is what I did before. I'm just wondering if wonder if I should try turning left this time. I think actually I'll go right again, because I think that looks like it's a good, if I just avoid this bit and this bit and just keep going straight there, I think I'll actually, that looks promising to me. It looks promising to me. So I'm going to turn right and go to 351. After 20 meters or so, you come to it started raining outside. Imagine that. That's why it's got dark now. It looks like it's night now, actually. Crazy. Let's see. How's that? That's too bright, isn't it? Okay. I'll just leave it there. Because now the light from my lamp is actually much brighter than the one from my window. It is the middle of the day, actually. It's 12 o'clock. It just got really dark. Let's see if I can get some light in from the outside now. It's hailing, actually. Okay. Nice and warm May, yes. And it's 4 degrees outside still. 12 o'clock in May. Oh well. After 20 meters or so, you come to an iron grate in the floor. If you wish to lift the grate, turn to 74. If you would rather keep on walking, turn to 174. I want to keep on walking because I know what I can find there. Nothing useful, really. The tunnel turns sharply to the left and then doubles back on itself. You walk... Okay. You walk along it for 50 meters before coming to a wooden door. Double back on itself. Doesn't mean that the tunnel coming left from the left side there is coming back to maybe. Okay. The lower jawbone of a dog is mounted crudely above the door. If you wish to open the door, turn to 26. If you would rather walk on, turn to 379. Now, if you open the door, that's where you find the two-headed dog, and you can use your wooden whistle to make it sleep. And then you can find a bracelet, which if you put on, gives you -2 skill and -1 luck. Yes, great. So I'm not going to do that. As much fun as it is, probably. So I'm going to walk on and go to 379. The tunnel continues straight ahead until it ends at a T-junction. If you wish to turn left, turn to 162. If you wish to turn right, turn to 251. Now, in the last time here, there was, if you turn left, you come to a point where there's an opportunity for you to jump something, it looks like, which sounds a bit risky, or to turn right where you can find a gold ring. So I'm going to turn right. Gold rings, that's, I seem to be collecting those. There is an archway in the left-hand wall through which you see a brass bell mounted on the wall at the end of a narrow corridor. If you wish to ring the bell, turn to 90. Not a ring. It's ringing the bell. Yes. I just saw a ring there and I thought there was a ring. Okay, so there's ringing the bell. If you wish to ring the bell, turn to 90. If you'd rather continue straight on, turn to 333. A circled ringing the bell, so I suppose that means I should be ringing the bell. Oh, you do get a ring actually, yeah. A delicate sound rings out from the small bell as you tap it with the hilt of your sword. You hear a fluttering of wings overhead. You get ready to defend yourself, but a white dove flutters down and settles on top of the bell. Much to your amazement, it is holding a gold ring in its beak, which it drops into the palm of your hand. With the ring safely stored in your pouch, you walk back down the corridor and turn left into the tunnel. So I do get another gold ring, so that is gold ring number 5. Right, and then we go down to 333. So that's an arrow missing from my map there. 333. Thank you very much. 333. There we are. The tunnel ends, as it often does, at a T-junction. Looking left, you see that the way is blocked by a pile of rocks. To your right, you see a wooden door some 20 meters down the tunnel. If you wish to investigate the rock pile, turn to 96. If you wish to walk towards the door, turn to 375. Okay, so I'm going to... Now, if you go into the... Yes, I'm going to go to the... check out the rock pile. Go to 96. You pull a few rocks away from the pile and see that there is a doorway behind. If you wish to spend time clearing away the rocks so that you can open the iron door, turn to 215. If you would rather walk to the door on the other side of the T-junction, turn to 375. I'm going to clear the rocks, so 215. It takes about 20 minutes to clear the rocks away. Eventually, you turn the handle of the door and shove on it with your shoulder. The rusty old door creaks open and you find yourself standing in a disused tunnel. The air is dank and musty and you cannot see far into the gloom. But as your eyes become accustomed to the dark, you can see that there is no way forward, as the roof of the tunnel has caved in. On the back of the door there are words and numbers written in chalk, but it is too dark to see them properly. If you wish to fetch a torch from the main tunnel, so that you can see to read the words and numbers, turn to 394. If you would rather forget about the derelict tunnel and walk to the door on the other side, turn to 375. So I'm going to check out the numbers, 394, the words and numbers, 395. 395. No, that's 395. 394, yes. The torchlight casts eerie shadows inside the derelict tunnel, but you are concerned only with the words and numbers on the back of the door. in barely legible writing, you read set 1249. So set 1249. So we got set 1249. I still don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out. You make a mental note of what you read and then walk out through the door towards the door on the other side of the T-junction. 375. Okay, so far this seems quite linear now. So I've done the first part of the maze now, and I've done the second part that I started on today, and it looks like the path through that now is quite clear to me. I've pretty much looked at most things because it is quite linear. And so that means that when I do my next character, I will know which battles and roles to run that through as well, in order to get to a point closer to where I am now. So we'll see how. I don't know exactly how far along I can save my game now, but it looks like it is from the beginning of today until this point. It still is really quite linear and clear what I have to do. So we'll see how that goes. Right. Yes, 375. 375. Yes, there we are. Well, that's the hellhound that I missed this time, by the way. Quite a nice picture there. From the other side of the door, you hear the agonized cry of a man in pain. If you wish to open the door, turn to 168. If you would rather keep on walking, turn to 138. Now, this is where I died before. But of course, at the time, I had 1 stamina point left. And my skill wasn't that great. Actually, my skill was 12, wasn't it? Oh, no, hang on. It wasn't 12 because I lost skill from putting on the bracelets, which means my skill was 11 or 10 or something like that. Okay, so this time I might be able to help, actually. So I don't know whether that's going to benefit me or not, but maybe I should try. So I'm going to open the door, go to 168. The door opens into a large room with a massive stone face carved into the back wall. Stone steps rise up to its huge open mouth, and at the top of these steps you see one of the other contestants, writhing in agony. A large purple tongue, like a giant snake, is wrapped around the elven prince, who is desperately stabbing at it with his dagger. If you wish to help the elven prince, turn to 77. If you would rather leave him and continue along the tunnel, turn to 138. So I am going to try to help him again. So this is where I died last time. You run up the stone steps and start to hack at the huge tongue. Hang on. I looked at the wrong paragraph last time. I mean, that should have occurred to me, shouldn't it? I know I was a bit tired that day, but seriously. I looked at paragraph 79 last time and suddenly started fighting a hill troll. What's that about? And I sort of thought about later, hill troll, where did the hill troll come from? Yeah, no, I wasn't supposed to fight the hill troll, was I? I was supposed to roll for my skill. Okay, I'm going to do it right this time. So that also means, by the way, that there's a certain possibility that one of my previous characters isn't dead yet. And yeah, anyway. Right. You run up the stone steps and start to hack at the huge tongue with your sword. A large gash opens up and purple blood pumps from it, soaking you and making the steps treacherously slippery. As the tongue thrashes about, the elf screams louder in agony. Roll 2 dice. So this is a test of skill. My skill is 12. I don't need to roll for skill tests, but so test, skill, go away. Okay, so it's 245, success, or 1, 3, 2, fail. So success, yes, 245. In the confined space of the stone mouth, you manage to keep your balance. Turn to 8. Okay. 8. As you lunge again, the elf falls silent, the life squeezed out of his body. The tongue releases him and retracts down the cavernous throat. You drag the elf out of the mouth, although there is nothing you can do for him now. You are beginning to wonder what to do next when suddenly the elf's eyes open. With his dying breath, he whispers, "Thank you for trying to save me. You didn't have to do it because we both know that only one person can walk out of here alive. It won't be me now. Take what I have and walk into the mouth. If you can overcome that dreadful thing that surprised me, I think it's the right way to go." His eyes close again and he exhales for the last time. In a bag tied to his waist, you find a small jar of grey paste which has a very sharp aroma. Knowing the ways of elves, you are certain that the paste will have healing properties, so you decide to dab the contents of the jar onto your wounds. No, don't do that. You don't have any wounds. Add 6 stamina points. And the paste has a desired effect. Add 6 stamina points. You also find in the bag a small bottle of blue dye, which you place inside your pouch. Okay, so we got blue dye. Let's see. Blue dye plus 6 stamina. And also, I'm almost tempted to correct the error in the book here and say that I'm taking the healing salve with me because seriously, I'm not injured. Why should I want to waste it? So that doesn't make any sense to me. So let's see, blue. So I'm going to do another house rule there. So I got a plus 6 stamina. What is it? What do they call it? Paste. That I can use at another time. Let's see. Yeah. You think about what the elf said. If you wish to walk inside the mouth, turn to 306. If you would rather leave the room and continue along the corridor, turn to 138. So we've got 2 options, 138 and into the mouth. I'm going to go into the mouth, obviously. As soon as you step inside the mouth, the hideous tongue coils out to ensnare you, but you are ready for it with your sword. Is that it? Okay. 5-6. 5-6. If you win, go to 85. So I've got a 9 skill point advantage. And you know what? I usually roll for myself every time, even though I know that I can't lose it after my adversary has rolled, just to keep things tidy. But maybe I should stop doing that because I got a 9 skill point advantage. So he rolls a 6. Yeah, so he loses 2 stamina. He rolls a 4. He rolls a 9. So I couldn't. It's just faster that way sometimes. Okay, so. And I win and I go to 85. You climb over the bleeding tongue and see that the steps descend a long way down. You can just make out the faint voice of a girl singing. So that could be like a siren or something. If you wish to go down the steps to investigate, turn to 364. If you would rather walk back down the tunnel, you still get lots of options, don't you, to turn back. Turn back before it's too late. I'm going to investigate, obviously. So 364. I'm trusting the elf. The elf knew what he was doing. Did he? I got killed by tongue. Did he really know what he was doing? Okay. 364. So that is downstairs. Okay, 364. At the bottom of the steps, there is a large cave which is partly submerged in gently bubbling water. Steam rises into the cold air and you see a tunnel exit in the far wall. Sitting on a rock in the middle of the underground lake is a beautiful woman singing a magical song. She is a siren, one of a human-like race of evil seductresses. Her song is to lure you to her so that she can slay you with her long knife as a sacrifice to her gods. Am I supposed to know that? Yeah, okay. Roll one die. Okay. Is this my life going to depend on just one dice roll now? 1d6. So two options. So 103, 1 to 2, or 203, 3 to 6. Okay. 2. That doesn't sound very good, does it? Oh, yeah, 103, yes. The siren's song has its effect on you before you think to cover your ears. Lured by the lilting voice, you step into the warm lake and swim towards the rock. But the lake is also home to a giant squid-like monster with tentacles 5 meters long. From the murky depths of the lake, it sees you swimming on the surface and glides silently up to wrap its tentacles around you. You suddenly feel something tugging at your foot and then see the giant monster of the lake as it surfaces. Roll 2 dice. That is a test of skill. Test. Skill. I know I'm going to make that. Okay, so we have skill. 3, 5, 6. Fail. Or 1, 9, 1. Success. Okay, so 191. You cut yourself free and swim as fast as you can towards the rock, spurred on by the magical song. But you're swimming to your doom. With your arms hanging at your sides in heedless submission, you smile as the long knife plunges into your chest. And that is a very colorful way to end it, I think. And the elf was a fool. So, the end. And that seems like a very stupid idea to go in there, doesn't it just? Okay, so that is, oh yes, the end, which means I have to update my death toll to 11. Yes. Right, but interestingly, of course, that means that one of my earlier characters might actually still be alive. So I will. No, I'll just leave him to have died there anyway. I think I'll just leave him to have died there. So yeah. Anyway, I'll resurrect him later if I need to. So that is the end of today's episode, and this was very fascinating, I think. And also one thing I really like about this is that it is so linear that I can start from a much, much later point. For instance, I can start from the point where I have saved the elf actually next time, because until that point I think I'm sort of 95% certain that that is the correct thing to do. Of course, there is a few little things that may or may not make a difference, like that place where you can jump over a pit, for instance. I just don't think it's going to make a huge difference. So in theory, so my next character will start from the point here and probably not go down to the siren. No, that sounds like a terrible idea. So anyway, unless you have to, and you just have to succeed that roll. There is a good chance, of course, that the only way to win the game for whatever reason is to defeat the siren, but that means you have a 2 in 6 chance of dying just there, regardless of your abilities. How fun is that? I love that. I love that. It is so in keeping with Ian Livingstone's books and the style of this. And also the thing about Death Trap Dungeon as well, and this, is you expect to die. It doesn't feel that unfair when it happens, because it's definitely an intrinsic part of the game. So Yeah, 11 dead and well 10 and a half. And we've still got a few characters to go before we have to sort of try and until we actually just make it. Um, so yeah, I'll be looking forward to my next time going into Trial of Champions. I hope you enjoyed watching this. If you did, oh, it's getting bright again now. So if you enjoyed watching this, please like, share, comment, subscribe, join me on Patreon, or buy me a coffee. Add my videos to public playlists. Click on the adverts, even if you don't buy anything, because I will make more money. And just generally, yeah, that's well. Thank you for watching as well. That's also nice too. I do also get inspiration for making my videos just from knowing that people are watching them, even when they don't comment or do any of those other things. So that's fine. So I'm still gonna keep doing it. I've still got loads of books left, as you can see. So you can see the open gap there. That is number 21, and then I've got the rest there, and I got some behind as well. So I do have quite a few books left to play. So yeah, I think that's it for today. I'll be looking forward to playing this again and seeing what happens next. So I'll be running my next character through the dungeon until this point, or just before this point rather, and then we will take it from there. So thanks for watching, and goodbye for now. Bye bye. Oh, 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 oh.